Welcome back to NLC Division 2, everyone. And what a cracking game we had. Unique against London United. Jamada, like, Shafty's double Flame Horizon jungle gap on Karthus? Insane.
Dude, I was more impressed with Sarge's, like, double pentakill Azir, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. A game for the ages. I'm not really sure how we're going to be able to top that for the rest of the day. Maybe hell, even the rest of the split, to be honest with you. But let's see what we can actually get out of the remaining games because, yeah, that was an absolute banger.
Yeah, incredible. Well, I can't wait to jump on into our second game of the day. Nativz taking on Lucent. If anyone is tuning in and doesn't know what happened, sadly, due to some issues, London United took the win. Well, not sadly for London United, but London United took the win as Unique couldn't field a roster in time. So we move on to our second game of the day. Nativz taking on Lucent. And this is one of our teams towards the top end of the table against one of the teams towards the lower end of the table. So an important game for Nativz just to be able to cross the T's and dot all the I's on.
Yeah, and they also want to do what they can to keep in range of light side as well, just for the sake of, first place prize, or pride rather. Like, even though technically playoffs is normally all that really matters, you still want to be able to say, hey, I finished first place regular split, right? It's always that kind of like bragging rights feel.
Yeah.
And like you say, going against the team like Lucent, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, that is the kind of game that you want to have here. You want to just come in, clean, simple, not really mess around too much. We've definitely seen some inconsistencies from theirs throughout the split. I feel like even some of their wins, they've not looked as strong as they have, in spring. But hopefully we can start to see a little more consistency, and that consistency can start here against a team that they should by all rights be dismantling systematically.
Well, we're heading into picks and bans then for what is effectively our first game of the day between Nativz and Lucent. And straight away, we're seeing the Poppy and the Udyr being banned away.
Yeah, Poppy, Udyr, Dandom, of course, a Poppy connoisseur, we shall call him, and Snille, I think I'm not going to say verbatim, but ever since he's had that Udyr game, where Nativz running things like the Yuumi on top of it, it just feels like Udyr kind of just gets chucked in there on occasion as a throwaway ban against Nativz, just simply because teams don't want to have to deal with it. Renata is actually going to be followed up there by Lucent, as Nativz have definitely shown a pretty high tendency and priority to pick that one up early in the draft. And Volibear will also follow, so a lot of targeting toward Dandom's champion pool. We'll see if actually they want to try and round it out with a third jungle ban. Maybe go for a B1 jungle if that's what they feel like doing. Nope, the answer will be Lucian instead. And now Lucent have the opportunity to try and ban away something that they really don't feel like playing up against. But with so many kind of out there targeted bans, things like the Zeri up and available, the Yuumi up and available, Senna as well. Also another very powerful pick, all available for Nativz. We'll see what they decide to prioritize.
And Nativz are going to hover this action straight away. Also, interesting point with Dandom. He's had 4 games so far for Lucent. Only played the Poppy and the Volibear, so he's going to have to play something brand new now, trying to dig deep in his champion pool as Jamada's already gone to sleep. Corki locked in. We were talking about the Azir double pentakill, so maybe it's an Azir now as well for Kurosh.
Oh, I'm sleeping already, Nativz. All right, let's see what Lucent decide to take into this one. As, like we said, Senna up and available if they want to take it. Zeri, Yuumi up and available for you, and Little Pence could snap that one up, but it's going to be a Xin Zhao lock as that timer does tick through for Dandom. So putting a lot of priority early on the jungle pick because, of course, no jungle locked in just yet, and now we'll see whether or not they want to try and match the mid lane or go towards an AD carry perhaps.
And with this Shen being hovered, it's starting to suggest to me as well that Lucent are looking to heavily play around bot side, or maybe even around Kurosh in the mid lane. But never mind, they're going to switch out the Shen and go towards the Orianna for Kurosh.
Yeah, all right. So timer will tick, and just trying to look for matching here. If you can hear my dog, excuse him. He's not too well. He wants my attention at the moment. So
he saw the Corki first pick. That's what it is.
He saw the Corki first pick, and now he's not feeling too happy, unfortunately. But let's see what Nativz want to go for here. They see the jungle pick now. They know that Orianna isn't really going to be the kind of mid laner that's looking to contest early on, per se. So I expect Snille's jungle pick to come in. Gragas could just be used as kind of like a flex pick. We've already seen it come out for Nativz once. Very strong flex pick. And now, again, loads of AD carries still up. Senna, Zeri, things like that. We'll see what Nativz want to prioritize. I'm going to take care of him for a second.
Well, the Yasuo is locked in, and I'm not hearing dog noises anymore. I think the dog's happy about the Yasuo Gragas combo.
It could be. No, you're not hearing dog noises because I muted my mic whilst I turned around.
Oh, okay, there we go.
All right. Well, it was hovered. Was it locked in? It's Gangplank is what we get in the end. And now we'll see what DBL decides to take, or whether or not Lucent just say, okay, we know we're probably going to have a losing topside matchup unless we, or we want to prioritize the AD carry, or they can just slam the Olaf and try and smash out the laning phase early on.
Olaf into Gangplank. That looks like it's going to be a little bit spicy towards the top side of the map as we enter into our second phase of bans. We already talked about the likes of the Zeri and the Senna both being open and available. See, Jamada, I didn't realize how cute your dog was because it wasn't part of the... Remember when, like, I think NLC and I think it was Solari and Archeron were, like, competing about who's got the best dog? I think they both come second here now.
They might. He's unfortunately... He's not been too well the last few days, so he's definitely wants a little bit more attention than I was giving him. So I'm going to give it to him whilst I also do my job. Senna will now take the to the ban list, and kind of surprising because you feel like Lucent would maybe want to be able to take that one up on R4, but maybe there's something that they feel like Nativz would be willing to take into the matchup that they're not super comfortable about doing. But Yuumi will now be banned away, as I expect maybe Lucent now also potentially want to take away something like the Zeri, but instead they go towards the Braum. So maybe looking towards, you know, a little more dive, a little more go buttons from the support role, and they don't want to allow Nativz to, you know, effectively kind of just get a free counter pick into that lock. So Nativz, what will they go for? They're gonna themselves remove away the Nautilus, seeing that the Braum comes in. So Lucent, now what are your options? What are you gonna say to the responses here? Again, plenty of power picks still up just because of the nature of some of these targeted bans, but Lucent haven't really revealed anything per se from the bottom side. Hovering on this hyper carry in the Jinx. If you see the Jinx get locked in, expect to potentially see a follow-up of a hyper carry, or not hyper carry, a sort of facilitating utility support. Kai'Sa is what we eventually end up getting. So that's why we see the Braum, because they were probably going to look to go full dive. And now, Nativz, what will they do with this information? Because Kai'Sa definitely can be abused in the early stages. Will they also just maybe go for a little bit of scaling instead? Xayah Rakan could definitely be a pretty strong option, even if you know you're probably going to be looking into a Leona Kai'Sa lane. If you do go for that, you give yourself the flexibility of engage, you get a little bit of disengage as well from the Xayah ultimate, and of course Rakan can be pretty flexible. I wouldn't mind that as a final rotation for Nativz.
And now Nativz, with their final pick, essentially have to say that is the Gragas going jungle or is it going support? And the Rakan is open, so I think that maybe they go for the Lovers duo in the bottom lane and hand the candle back over to Lucent to say what they want to be pairing with this Kai'Sa.
Yeah, and let's see now. I mean, like we said, the Leona probably makes the most sense. Whether or not they'll go for it is yet to be seen, because Lucent right now, they are lacking, you know, hard engage go buttons at the moment. They have a lot of, you know, moving forward components, but nothing that actually facilitates that forward movement, and the Amumu can definitely do that. Something that we've been seeing pop up a lot more in the LPL, particularly as an answer into Zeri, just because of the way that the E passive works with her Q, but it's going to be taking up here into the Rakan Xayah lane. Definitely a little bit risky, just because, you know, if you don't immediately lock down the Xayah with your ultimate, she just kind of feather storms it if she's going to anticipate it, and then you kind of lose a little bit of value because you can very quickly get locked up by the Blade Caller. But Lucent do have a pretty, you know, uniform composition here. Everything basically wants to go forward. The Orianna is going to sort of act as a facilitating tool towards that end. And on the opposite side for Nativz, a little more scaling, a little more waiting, definitely some proactivity options on the cards, but I expect to sort of wait for them to get to 2 IMs, and then that's when we'll actually see Nativz be super active, looking for team fights, looking for skirmishes.
And I do like this Amumu pick. I think we saw it being picked up by Svenne on Tuesday for Lungfist. No, for Rising Dawn. Lungfist Lightside. I got there eventually.
To be fair, I can also never say the first part of the Lightside name, so I just always call them Lightside.
The thing is, I usually see the Amumu with like Kalista, Misfortune, not sort of aggressive ADCs. So how do you see this pairing up with the Kai'Sa? Because you mentioned about the interaction between Amumu Ult and Xayah Featherstorm.
Yeah, so I think for me, the important thing is that because Amumu obviously has that little bit of hard CC, can help apply the Plasma. It's not quite as oppressive as per se the Nautilus, because obviously the Nautilus is Q plus the O attack, but you can definitely find a fair amount of early kill pressure. You have to also remember Amumu technically, does he strip away a little bit of magic resist as well from his passive? Yeah. I think that's how it works. It's either that or it makes magic damage convert to true damage. I haven't read up on the Amumu passive. I'm not going to pretend to be super versed there, but either way, that's definitely going to help synergize with some of Kai'Sa's kit, of course, just because she does deal a little bit of magic damage mixed in there with the primarily physical damage that she will be doing. So the all-in threat definitely there, especially at level 2, but beyond that, you're waiting till level 6, you're looking towards team fight options, and that's when you can really see the Lucent sort of team fight fantasy come online, sort of around the first 15, maybe around the third dragon typically, right, is where you'd get to see this one really thrive. But I think going to be able to probably keep Nativz away from a lot of these neutral objectives with the Xin Zhao pick into the Gragas. Gragas shouldn't really be able to contest that too well. It's more about realistically how the priorities lie. I expect Lucent to try and get these early dragon stacking though.
Now, for Lucent, having that Olaf in the top lane with the Xin Zhao alongside, surely they're just going to be perma-ganking onto Lundorf's Gangplank.
Yes, that is the expectation in the earliest of stages, but you have to remember as well, this is a lane that Olaf should, by all rights, be winning. It will definitely take until level 6 until you can really start to roll the lane over. Lundorf would have to make a pretty big error to fall over in the earliest of stages, but Lucent definitely have a very, very strong opportunity to pressure the top side of the map.
Well, we'll see whether Lundorf can keep it clean in the early stages of the game. We'll see how Nativz want to play with Snilla in the jungle on this Gragas. And I feel like for Snilla, maybe in the early stages of the game, probably looking towards the bot side, because I feel like you can't do too much with the Corki. Or maybe you can, because Orianna isn't exactly the most... isn't the best mid laner to work against jungle ganks.
No, definitely not. So I think realistically, both sides, plenty of lane options, right? It's more about how they actually decide to play out the game, where they want to prioritize, where they want to try and get a snowball going, is the real answer I can try and give you in terms of where I feel like would probably work the strongest. Yes, Lucent top side, I think Snille playing to the bottom side to ensure that Fuyu and Lil Pants don't get some kind of weird snowball going, just because Kai'Sa can definitely be pretty oppressive. She can get ahead. Same thing for the Amumu. But I think, again, Nativz really are going to be waiting until they hit a couple of items underneath their belt.
Now, both junglers starting on their blue buffs, so starting on the opposite sides of the map. So we probably won't likely see the junglers meeting at any scuttle crabs or meeting at all for the first 4 minutes or so of the game. So maybe the first time we really get to see some interaction is going to be for that first Drake of the game, which will be that Infernal Drake.
And doesn't mean no Infernal Soul. And in a game like this, could have been pretty spicy. Maybe we still get the, you know, the new Infernal Soul of the year, the Hex Tech Dragon and Rift. Have to wait and see. But I think for now, what I expect to see out of the junglers is just kind of a close to full clear and then maybe look towards a ganking option. For now, though, I think quite early game in the cards.
All fairly nice and chill to start us off for Division 2 today. You know, ease us in to the day of games, and Lundorf has this wave stacked very nicely outside his tower, and all DBL can do is throw some axes in his general direction every few seconds.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like the early laning phase, it's a little bit hard for Olaf to pressure unless you kind of let the Gangplank shove into you, which can be a little bit difficult from time to time, especially just because the nature of Gangplank trying to poke you out of the, the parlays does kind of force priority to shift in DBL's favor. In the mid lane, relating a couple of early bad trades, but definitely a lane where, you know, historically when Corki has come into the meta, you see Orianna come in as kind of like an early lane answer, just because you can kind of keep him low, keep him chunked out, and then try and get first move off of that. But in terms of like actual proactivity, it's not something that we very consistently see. Still late, completes full clear, gets a ward, and actually on the opposite side, you'll see Dandom has done the exact same thing. Just going to try and get a little bit of information before basing. Now they will go back and both reset. So nothing too crazy out of the ordinary so far, but I think for Nativz, they're going to feel comfortable with, you know, a first early clear like that. They're not really the ones I feel like that need to get ahead super early on in the game. Neither are Lucent, to be fair. Again, have to bring up their early team fighting capabilities once those level 6s come online. Very, very potent. But still, Nativz looking to get to those scaling points. The 2 iron break points on a lot of these champions are super powerful.
And talking about items, I think the big one is the fact that Snilla has boots, so now has that Predator unlocked. And the first thing Snilla's going to do is work towards this top side and help Lundorf shove this wave in. But it's going to get met by Dandom. So now we have a 2v2, a two-man body slam. DBL gets taken down low. Lundorf looking for the play, flashes away for Dandom. But the Conqueror is stacked, and Dandom picks up first blood for Lucent.
Yeah, and even though they get DBL low, the problem is the lower Olaf gets, the stronger he gets in the fighting department. Now Kurosh in a 2v1.
Has Little Pants to back him up. Bandage toss not going to land onto Clocks, and Riley and Clocks will be able to escape with their lives.
Yeah, they will just about make it out of that one on both ends. And Kurosh blowing the ghost, so Relay, both mid laners, holding on to their flashes at the moment. Clocks gonna probably stop this recall. Really nice from Little Pants to stop Clocks from denying Kurosh's reset, and now Clocks have to stick around to help Relay get this wave in for a reset, but Relay is the one with teleport. Kurosh does not. However, with this being a cannon wave, Lil Pants just has to hold it, and I don't really feel like Clocks and Relay have the resources to stop this freeze from happening. And there you go, Lil Pants can just pull the wave up.
And the Clocks and Relay could try to, you know, bully out Little Pants a bit, but they're just going to delay their own backs. And I do really like it when supports roam around and essentially act as bodyguards for their laners to recall without it being interrupted, and then just hold a wave for them. As a fellow support player, I can truly emphasize with that.
Yeah, and I think Lundorf now, judging by how much damage that Q done, does have the Sheen, and that's when trades can get like a little bit irritating on, you know, the top side matchup for any lane, but in particular, DBL really does want to try and pressure this. And now Snille is here to interrupt the base. DBL still hasn't based yet, actually, so he's just going to probably die to this dive, not going to be able to abuse the level 6 power spike.
Ragnarok used as a small shield, but it's not enough to keep DBL alive, not at all.
Yeah, nowhere near. And DBL just a little bit greedy. I'm not sure why he hadn't found the window to base yet. Maybe there was something that we didn't quite catch. As well,
Dandom's here as well. Oh, they get spotted out by a control ward. Oh, Yopper's going to flash. However, the wind becomes lightning, lands feather. Oh, Blade Caller comes in, but it's not going to lock down Little Pants for long enough. And now, oh, bandage toss under tower. But Clocks won't get dived on, and Little Pants just about survives the ignite.
Yeah, just about survives. Little Pants able to walk away from that one. And yeah, just the control ward goes in that back brush by Fuyu and spots out both Yopper and Clocks waiting, trying to find that cheeky brush play. Doesn't work out for them. Lucent aren't going to pick up this dragon on the back end of this play, though. So Nativz only really losing out on the kills. Yopper will miss a fair chunk of that wave, but it was a cannon that was crashed in, so it'll take a little while. Maybe he still gets the most of it. Still, really nice heads-up play from Fuyu. Just to drop that ward in there, just looking for where the enemy bottom lane was, especially once Dandom shows face. Just great
it was
play.
just a sixth sense on that ward, because I thought that they were out, and then all of a sudden, just a control ward gets dropped randomly in the bush. And, well, sadly for Yopa and Clocks, well, they end up dying. Well, Yopa dies and is forced to burn his flash. Clocks using the ignite and the flash as well. And now there is a Drake up, and it has been up for a few minutes as well, and that's going to be eyed up by Lucent right now.
Yeah, it's going to be eyed up by Lucent. However, Nativz are also on the bottom side of the map, has to be said. With a wave stacking, if Lucent don't get this one done quickly, which they weren't able to, so Dandom is up towards the top side of the map. Expect Nativz now to, well, actually going for a bottom side play instead.
Oh, that is beautiful from Little Pants. He sidesteps the body he sidesteps on the grand entrance and then flashes the body slam, and the Lucent bottom lane will survive unscathed.
Yeah, and with that play, should just be able to pick up the dragon off the back of it. There's mid lane priority for now. Relay is running low on mana, but should be okay. And 1-to-1, Yopper and Fuyu battling for that priority, but it should be a battle that Yopper wins out on. DBL chucks down the Ragnarok.
This is the level 6 that you were talking about, Jamada, but DBL will miss one of his underthrows as we have a fight in the bottom lane, and Snilla just gets popped. It's another kill going the way of Lucent.
Not quite sure what happened there. Dragon just not getting burned down quick enough. Nativz get forced off the dragon, and not only that, because Snilla dies, that's just going to be a free dragon going over to Lucent. It is definitely, you know, towards the early criteria that we had partly set for Lucent. Want to see an early dragon or early dragon stack come down. It looked like Nativz had potentially had the setup for it, but Lucent just come in, capitalize on potentially a mispositioned Nativz. Pick up the kill, pick up the dragon. Now they can probably look to play towards this Rift Herald on the top side.
And for you, 2-0 on this Kai'Sa. We'll be walking towards that first item as we get a replay of what exactly happened in this bottom lane.
Yeah, so the ward comes down and it kind of sends Nativz a little bit into a weary situation. They're not too confident, but they do start to burst the dragon down. It just takes them a little bit too long. The first bandage toss comes in. Second one, I believe, follows, and Fuyu just able to come in, slide down Sunday's health bar, and Clocks just kind of left to leave his jungler to die, not really able to get any support. And that's kind of the difference. Even though Yoppa had, you know, geographically on the map first move towards the river, problem is Fuyu could just press his R key and be there in an instant. Able to cheat that one just because of the range of where that fight was going on. Enables Lucent to pick up that dragon and the fight. Now DBL still on the Ragnarok for a couple of seconds, has Ghost to be able to use it.
Well, the powder kegs will land and DBL left with nowhere to go as Lundorf picks up his second kill of the game.
Yeah, great setup from Lundorf as well. Just in the bush with the powder keg. Comes out, gets a couple of wars in, walks back towards the bush, drops the powder keg on top of DBL. Even though he's ghosted, with no Ragnarok, he still gets slowed down enough for Snille to close the gap. With that pick, not going to be able to pick up the Herald, and definitely a trend so far. It feels like both these teams finding picks on the side lane near the neutral objective, not able to really pick up the objective after the pick itself. I wonder if this opens up an opportunity for Dandom to just slide in here, as he will get spotted out by the control ward, but look where all the Nativz members are. They're all towards the bottom side, trying to defend the bottom side jungle at the moment. So they felt like there was a potential invade coming through, and because of that, Dandom should just pick this one up for free.
Yeah, it does not look like Snille is making any movements towards the top side. He's just going to ignore Dandom's attempts towards the Rift Herald and just continue farming up his camps. But it does mean that now Lucent have that Rift Herald available and they can look to drop that wherever they want on the map. And initially I would have thought, hey, you know, drop it towards this Olaf, try to get that first tower. But DBL hasn't actually taken any tower plays off Lundorf's tower just yet.
Yeah, so this is kind of the thing about the Olaf matchup, right? It can be pretty oppressive if it's played towards in the first 5 levels, and then level 6 you should realistically have a lot of your own agency. But because DBL didn't base, got dove, and then, you know, he's been ganked after the fact as well, he's just not really powerful enough at this point to just straight up run down Lundorf unless he's in a really, really poor position. And not only are those factors a key, look towards the inventory, because Lundorf already has his Triforce 12 minutes into the game against 9 Spike Whip and just tabbies that axe. So there's really not too much at this point that DBL should feasibly be able to do to pressure Gangplank. Lundorf is kind of cruising at this point. Just going to farm up grass stacks, farm up the waves with the barrels, get all of that additional parlay gold, and look to get out to his scaling power point ASAP. And with that in mind, I expect Dandom will either A, look towards the mid lane just to drop that Herald, or B, with such a powerful AD carry starting to come online already, look towards there for the pressure of being able to take down potentially the whole tower if the wave is stacked up nicely enough.
Well, Yope and Clocks, their backs have been cancelled, and Random's made his way down with this Rift Herald. The backs are going to be denied for even longer, and it's Kurosh who's closer to the bottom lane than realized that there's going to be nothing to stop this Rift Herald from going down. DBL burns the Ragnarok as Lundorf and Snille just continue to do damage. And this is just going to be another death. Snille this time picks up the kill, and again, there is nothing that DBL can do in that situation.
Yep, nothing really. And honestly, Gangplank in a game like this where everybody's going to be moving towards him in a lot of these team fights, getting so far ahead is kind of spooky. Now, on the bottom side of the map, Lucent are technically ahead of the play, right? They started the first move down towards the bottom side. It's Nativz that were technically responding. Lundorf will get this tower in the extended trade. It's just going to take him a little while. He will pick it up. All of these gold plates to himself. 460. He is going to be so far ahead. Actually, Reed, if I can just ask, how much gold is he up right now on DBL? Because it has to be... It has to be close to 2,000, right? It's going to be something pretty nasty. Reed doesn't like me, so he's not flipping the gold up. Maybe he's just not there.
He's abandoned us.
Yeah, he has. It happens from time to time, but moving towards the Collector, already tier 2 boots, whereas DBL still hasn't even picked up his mythic. So and that top side is looking pretty rough, 1-to-1, and Lundorf will just continue to very comfortably get to his power spike. So with this now, Nativz potentially could look to play towards this dragon. Gangplank is definitely strong enough, but he isn't level 13 yet, so could make barrel placement a little bit awkward. Nativz, however, have the opportunity, I believe. Where is Relay? Does Relay have the package? Because if he does, then I think this is a dragon right now on the timer. Yeah, he does.
He does indeed.
Lucent can't really look to fight this unless they get the super ideal conditions where they, you know, 2-man, 3-man ultimate from Amumu, and they're able to just blow up 1 or 2 members very, very quickly. But mid lane priority secured. That Corki package is still available, but Nativz, package
They
time's
want
out.
no
So
part in it.
yeah, they don't want no part in it, because that package potentially taken a little bit too early. And Lucent pick up the second dragon for effectively freebie. Now it's the Mountain Dragon, Mountain Soul, and Lucent only need 2 more to get to that power point. But again, Nativz, maybe they're not too upset about this, because it's the power spike of that 2-item mark. Level 13 for Gangplank. Corki needs to hit level 11. Muramana Ludens definitely will have the time to do that in the next 5 minutes. That's when you really want to see Nativz try and take the steering wheel in this game.
Both supports have hit level 6 recently. We are yet to see either of them drop down an ultimate. Oh my god, that is a lot of damage flashing forward. Lundorf wants the kill. Under tower, Killer Instinct, that might be too aggressive from Fuyu. The Cannon Barrage picks up the kill. And that Killer Instinct might not have been the smartest decision from Fuyu as Dandom looks towards Clocks, but Snilla is here to keep his support healthy and safe.
Gangplank damage, baby! As Fuyu learns the hard way there underneath the tower. Solo kill pretty much. And Lundorf is looking to be a menace. Has the collector 16 minutes into the game. 2 items on a Gangplank. That is an absurd amount of gold. It's not often you see GPs accelerated like this in competitive play. Typically it's Gangplank that gets left on an island. So far this game, he's been getting all the resources. We get a replay of what exactly happened. So Fuyu just doesn't have vision on this barrel. Crit 755. Flash forward, trial by fire. I think... I mean, I'm not even sure.
I think you wanted to
what
kill
the
him
idea was.
out of the Cannon Barrage, but
I mean,
I
but the
don't
Cannon
think I was
Barrage
going
came
to kill
down
him.
after, and yeah, definitely wouldn't have killed him. Maybe Lundorf would have always been able to have caught up anyway if he gets clipped by the slow. So I think he was always dead to rights regardless, but definitely looks a little bit funky going back in.
That kind of reminded me of solo queue things. Like, you know, when you're playing ADC or you're playing in any lane and you think, you know, I got first tower of the game, I got all of those plates. What does this top laner think that he's going to do? And then you realize, oh, he's got a lot of gold. I shouldn't have done that.
It's like when you're tunnel visioned on your own lane or your own role.
Yeah.
And then you lose a 1v1, like you're playing a duelist champ, you lose a 1v1, and you're like, how the hell did that happen? And then you press tab and it's like 16 minutes in, he's got 2 items, even though he's normally a champion that's picking up his first item now. Yeah, definitely an unexpected amount of damage coming out of Lundorf. That 15% crit did work as well, let's not forget. It was an additional like 300-ish damage just because he crit.
It was a lot of damage. Honestly, I'm kind of scared, you know. Just part of me wants to know what would happen if a Gangplank went Burst Strike or Dark Harvest, and just to see how lethal a crit powder keg could be.
Ah, see, yes, we have a savant among us. That's definitely something I pick on a lot of Gangplank players for, and competitive players, kind of just defaulting to Grasp. Especially since it's nerfs, it's not quite as powerful as it used to be in terms of the health stack, the damage, the healing. So in a lot of matchups, it's actually a little more valuable overall to take First Strike. You get a little more damage into the tanks, you get to sort of farm up a little more gold than you're typically allowed to through the First Strike procs. But not only that, the damage scales into the later stages of the game. So if you're going, you know, the very common build these days, which is Collector into Lord Bombs and then IE after Triforce, your damage is partly being converted into true damage. So you ignore even more armor. It's actually to be treated more like a damage rune as opposed to a gold generation rune, to be honest with you. But in a lane like an Olaf lane, definitely understand why he took the Grasp. So
Dandom's taking so much damage as he tries to get that tower, flashing forward with the body slam. Explosive cast flashed away by Little Plant, but it doesn't matter. The combo from Nativz is just disgusting, and it is 3 more kills for Nativz.
Yeah, and Clocks was a little late to the engage. He says, I'm not late, I'm just going to flash on their faces, gets the double charm, gets the double knock up, and then Yoppa is right in position and ready to get the Featherstorm right on top of those CC targets. Now Lundorf, he's gone from the bottom side of the map to pick up that tier 1 to just walking towards the mid lane. He gets another Demolish proc, whole bunch of Trial by Fire, and he is just going to absolutely murder this tower. And now, man, Gangplank getting further ahead. Nativz winning out on a fight where he's not even really present. Dandom, yeah, just taking up too much damage, to be honest with you. Eats up a whole bunch from Relay. Snille flashes forward, and Clocks isn't able to initially make it to lock down Dandom, but just flashes over the wall and finds both members here of Lucent and is able to keep them CC'd in time for Yoppa to come and clean up. As now he moves to 1-1-1, and Yoppa definitely needed that after the early game. And Lucent put a lot of eggs in the bottom side basket, and it stopped him from being as dominant as perhaps he would have liked to have been in the early stages, and now he is well and truly in the game, and Lundorf even going towards the double crit. Lundorf, I'm liking this build, man. I'm a fan. You know, we see a lot of strange Gangplank builds quite commonly. Going for the double agility cloak, looking towards probably an IE third, but he's going to sit on all of those agility cloaks as Lil Pants went forward there.
Clock's having a think about engaging. Ryla has teleported in. This time he has a package, and this time the package will not time out. And Nativz say, third Drake of the game, this is where we're going to contest it, and this is where we're going to stop Lucent from even approaching into the river.
Yep. Just by virtue of the Gangplank being so strong as well, the fact that they're there at first move just means Lucent trying to get through chokeholds against Gangplank, Cannon Barrage, and Zaya, Rakan. Gangplank barrels as well, let's not forget. It's just too dangerous a game to play. Lucent definitely make the right call to give that one up. Sitting a little bit under, 4k down. It's going to be tough for them now to really contest anything, I feel, especially if Nativz consistently have lane priority.
I'm going to jump into what is the worst question for color casters and what is a play-by-play caster's favorite question, which is, how do Lucent get back into this game?
Oh man, I love these questions, you know, because especially like
theory crafting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's theory crafting, right? I mean, we're starting to get to a point where I feel like maybe Nativz comp starts to drive itself, right? Corki is about to hit Muramana with that Ludens in pocket. Lundorf already has 2 IMs. Fuyu could be in trouble. Cannon Barrage slow down.
Oh, good Curse of the Sad Mummy to stop the quickness from coming through, but Fuyu
God.
just gets burnt so low down. Little Pants are going to try to follow, and Little Pants, it goes gold a bit. Here comes Ryla, and the feathers are just ripping through Little Pants. One more's going to be enough. Oh, never mind. He gets it with the Gleaming Quill.
And now, if they want to, they could even look to potentially pressure the Baron. I feel they have enough damage to do it. 2 items on Zaya, 2 items on Corki. Lundorf is going to go back to base, but I feel it's there to help burn through this Baron. It would be so fast as they're going to start this one up. Dandom is in the area, but I expect Clocks to probably go and hit that Blast Cone. Just stop him from getting involved. And now has to commit with the flash. Will Nativz look for the flip, though? I feel like once they get some to spell out like that teleport from DBL, going to be happy to back away and get what they got.
They get some extra gold, they'll get some more items, and they're probably going to send Lundorf into a side lane again for the next few minutes.
No reason not to. I mean, can very happily 1v1 DBL at this point, I'm pretty sure. Has all of the additional armor pen from not only the powder kegs, but Dominance Regard and the Collector.
He could probably 1v2 right now, to be honest.
If he hits the right RNG, yeah, because all it really takes at this point is just crit to land from basically just about all of his abilities. It's like if he powder kegs somebody that is named Fuyu or Kurosh, what I will say is expect it to deal about 800 or more damage to them. And hell, even like queuing somebody, I think alone will probably deal about 500, 600. So he is an absolute machine at the moment. And if Lucent walk into these barrels, which again, their composition is kind of designed to dive, right? This is the big issue at the moment. Their composition is designed to dive, and they're into Zaya, and they're into a very, very fed Gangplank. So finding team fights is just going to be really difficult. I think they're going to have to just resort to picks at this point. But Nativz are really playing this one out pretty smartly. They're spacing correctly. They're ensuring that they're never really giving Lucent too much of a window, if any, to be honest with you, to actually, go in and try and lock down a couple of members. And Nativz can just play time.
And it's just Nativz going for this 1-3-1. Corki in the bottom lane, Lundorf in the top lane. If you want to send some members towards Lundorf, then, well, Ryla's going to have a field day and just chonk away at a tower. 3 towers down for the side of Lucent currently, and Nativz looking for more. Nativz, they can also just wait for the next Mountain Drake, pick that one up, and eventually they're going to be able to take a Baron very quickly. And once they get to that point, I guess they just rush down the Nashor.
I mean, I think the problem is they're already at the point where they take it quickly. They just haven't been able to damage check the Baron yet.
They had a quick go at it, but then they decided...
But I think the fact that they got DBL's teleport just said, hey, all right, it's 5v4, don't really have to take anymore. They can just play the side lanes out with that teleport advantage, and now Nativz 60 seconds away from the Dragon. Lucent trying to go in.
Shockwave doesn't really land onto anyone. Ryla on the side, and it's a 1-for-1 so far. Both supports are falling. Bladecaller will not lock down DBL. Snealer looks for more, but he's in the middle of three members of Lucent. The Cannon Barrage is going to slow down the members of Lucent. Ragnarok will help DBL get out to safety, but will he be safe enough? Undertows to buy some more movement speed as he drops the Ghost and continues to run for his life. Ryla and Jopper on the chase somewhat as Lundorf is just going to turn his attention towards mid lane, and DBL is not going to be able to get out to safety and will get popped.
Does get popped in the end. Took a little while, and speaking of getting popped, there you go. Fuyu solo killed in the mid lane by Lundorf yet again. Absolute nightmare material. This Gangplank is so damn strong.
Seconded on that one. A very... He's 4-1. We finally got the goal differences. 5k.
Yeah, that seems balanced, honestly, yeah. I think Lucent are enjoying this.
You know when you play solo queue games and someone starts talking about how a champion is unfair, and then you try to explain to them that you're full build level 18 while they're still level 12
really,
and have 2 items?
You know, so I get this a lot, actually, and I'm going to start casualing this cast because I feel like Lucent might
it's
be
kind of over, yeah.
It's looking a bit bad. Obviously, it's Div 2, and Nativz have thrown a, what was it, I think a 15, 16k gold lead this split, so, you know, I'm going to hold out hope for Lucent for now. But as a Kane player, my goodness, I get this question chucked to me a lot, so much in solo queue. Oh my god, how did you one-shot me when you're like only 5 levels up and have 3 items at 20 minutes? Like, it is actually the perfect exemplification of that right now, because Lundorf, I assume, is still only out on the map because he wants to buy his Infinity Edge on his next recall. That's the only reason why I could assume he's still here. Because how much is Infinity? He is about 100 gold away if he sells his Corrupting Pot, memory serves me correct on the combined cost there. So this wave, go and eat Krugs, and then he'll have it. Or you can just sell his Corrupting Pot now, and he'll have it. Let's see what he decides to do. Yeah, this is true Gangplank gameplay, honestly. And if you're actually min-maxing, what you do is you save the barrels for all of the little ones so that you can get all of the extra parlay gold.
Yes. Will he do that?
Oh,
he's waiting.
Oh, Lundorf. He's after my heart.
He knows what he wants.
He's after my heart, honestly, he is. Yeah. But it's something cheeky you can do if you're a Gangplank player. Always keep that in mind. The extra parlay gold can stack up if you take Krugs, you know, 2, 3, 4 times over the course of a game. And now he has his Infinity Edge. So if you thought he was dealing damage before, wait until he gets to deal damage again.
Something that I didn't know until recently, because I was looking at Gangplank's abilities as Standom looks for an engage, now finds himself on the wrong side of a wall, buddy. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Crescent Guard's going to keep him alive for a little bit longer. He flashes, he pretty much uses everything to get out, and now a Cannon Barrage drop down on top. Clocks flashing forward with the quickness. Will be able to use Charm up at 3 members. Now Ryla teleporting in. A Featherstorm drop down into nothingness, but I think Ryla's gone too far. Never mind. He's got a Guardian's Angel. Little Pants on the run, but he will get parlayed to the back, and it's another kill for Nativz.
Yeah, so you're saying about the Gangplank abilities. What was it exactly?
So I didn't realize that Gangplank had a hidden, like, passive where Infinity Edge makes him do, like, more damage in general.
Really?
Yes. I believe so. Because I was doing some, I was like making like a caster quiz game where like...
Is this to do with the barrels? Specifically, like in the way the barrels...
Yes, I believe it's, yes.
Okay,
so it's
that
like,
part I did know.
Yeah. Is it on that? I can't remember.
I don't know where it shows. You might have to hit shift. Yeah, so kegs critically strike at 125% effectiveness.
But it increases if you've got Infinity Edge or something.
Yeah, so it basically is because Gangplank, when the crit items got changed, I think Infinity Edge technically got nerfed in its crit damage in total.
Right.
If memory serves me right. So they basically buffed crit Gangplank barrels to deal more damage to make up for it.
It's on the parlay. It's on the parlay, apparently.
Is it on the parlay? Oh.
So apparently, I'm just reading this up off the League of Legends fandom page. Yeah. So it does critical damage, but if you have Infinity Edge, it does extra damage.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Today I learned.
So,
it's just something kind of new.
It's, yeah, if you ever need a reason to explain. So even like, if you don't have the 65 crit chance, Infinity Edge still buffs you.
Do you know what's really funny about this statement? It's like, Infinity Edge makes you deal more damage. Really? I never thought about it like that.
No, but it's like,
It
you know how
has a
people like,
special interaction. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, you know how people build Infinity Edge before they get, what is it, 60% crit chance or something?
Yeah, by the way, DBL's dead. So is
Yeah, he is.
So is Dandom. Carry on.
So is Lucent in general, but
Yeah, Lucent looking pretty yeah, it's not looking great, guys.
10k gold deficit.
But yes, the the 40% Infinity Edge enjoyers.
Yes, it actually works on Gangplank, is what I'm saying. So it's a calculated thing. As Little Pants, he barely came out of stasis. He just went straight from stasis into limbo. Yeah. Oh, the triple power! You loved to see it. Courage thought he was safe, but he definitely wasn't. But you try to flash away. The Feather Storm dropped down, and Joffa will clean up and pick up a clean ace for Nativz. A clean game for Nativz as well.
Yeah, pretty clean. Maybe looked a little bit spooky in the first 5-10 minutes at most, but I think Nativz have had this one in the bag ever since Lucent weren't really able to get, you know, a huge, tangible feeling snowball going, right? I think that was the big issue.
Oh, DBL on the flank. DBL on the flank.
Yeah, he's on the flank, and the Nexus is just gonna die. All right, well.
That was going to be a pentakill, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I could feel it. It was brewing as Lucent, pardon me, not able to really stand up there to the might of Nativz, and definitely the kind of game that we've been needing from Nativz a little bit more. Obviously, it's against the 9th place Lucent, but again, compared to Spring Nativz, where there was a very clear trajectory of improvement and there was very clear, you know, sense of identity and like commitment to plays, it's not something we've always been consistently seeing so far throughout the split. So seeing this here today in this game, definitely very much needed. And now they move up to 8-3, and they are technically, you know, still second place, but tied in wins now with Lightside. Of course, still have to play their game later on today. But definitely a big win because it's definitely, you know, a match potentially which Lightside could end up dropping. We'll have to see exactly how things fall, of course. But big pickup there for Nativz in terms of trying to ensure that they stay top 2, because either Rate or Lightside will win, and that's a very influential, result now that they have picked up that win.
Yeah. Well, with that, our game draws to a close. We will be having interviews shortly, so we're going to throw into a short break. And when we return, we'll be interviewing a member from Nativz and a member from Lucent. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.